Now, it hurts and it's frustrating and it makes you feel bad when you think, did I idolize my husband? Did I make him an idol? I didn't mean to. Um, I was speaking with a client today about the fear of moving forward in love, and she was saying that that exact same thing. I had the ultimate love. I had the ultimate husband. How can I even part my lips to think that I'm going to get another one? And should I just be content with the idea that this is all I'm going to get? And how do I, settle for that? Because this is not fair. Like there's some people that get love like I got for a lifetime, but then again, there's some people that never get the love like I got. So should I even, what should I be looking for? And a lot of that I feel like is centered around, the fear of being alone, the fear that this is permanent, the fear that this is going to break you, the fear that no one's going to want what you were sure your husband loved, the fear that you're not enough, the fear that being a solo parent is going to be more than you can take. There's a lot of fears about suddenly being shoved into a new position as a solo parent and a single woman when you definitely set out to be something completely opposite. You definitely set out to be a part of a team, and you definitely did not have self-esteem set up to stay single forever or for the rest of your life, or to raise a kid on your own for the rest of their lives. That just wasn't the way your self-esteem has been built over the past 10 years, right? So what I want to say about this isn't, some people aren't going to like. It's not going to rub them the right way. And I apologize in advance, but I don't apologize for my message. It's about your husband, and it's about God. So I felt like the same way. I felt all those fears the same way, where I wasn't adequate, just couldn't do this on my own, just needed him for everything. I needed him to be my father figure, because I moved out of my father's house, so everything that was the be all, the end all, the authority, the person that knew everything about everything, that was my husband. It wasn't that he knew more than me, or that I worship him or anything like that. It was just that I respected his knowledge, I respected his authority. Like he knew some stuff and I agreed with him, and so that was that figure for me. The acknowledgement of being beautiful, the acknowledgement of being worthy, that was something he pushed and instilled and fueled for me. So that was the father figure that I had given, the father traits that I had given him. And then there was the romance, the fears that I had about not being attractive to anybody, the fears that I had about having these kids and having to do this by myself, the fears about just not being enough for to be head of household, and to not wanting to be, am I gonna be able to be submissive to another person? I was completely submissive to my husband, not in a subordinate kind of way, not in anything that's condescending, but in a way that I trusted his judgment. I trusted him as my partner. I trusted him to make decisions, and for me not to even need to question him. And if I did, that was cool, we could work it out. But I gave him that bride that he deserved. So I gave that to him. And then there was the friend part. He was my best friend. And the fears around social life now. How are people going to see me? How are they going to perceive what I'm doing here, when I decide to date? Or how are they going to perceive what I'm doing with my kids, being a single mom? How are my friends going to react to me in my social life? What happens when they feel like I've changed too much, or, social balances and friendship balances change because I'm in a different season? I didn't have to worry about any of that with him. He was my best friend. I was excited to do things and go places and be involved with stuff because he was there. So all these things, I made him my father figure, my fiance, and, and he was also my husband. But that bride, I was a bride for him, and he was also my best friend. I want you to think about those three things I just said, that if that was true about your husband. And then I want you to think about what God is supposed to be for you. Now, it hurts and it's frustrating and it makes you feel bad when you think, did I idolize my husband? Did I make him an idol? I didn't mean to. I wasn't, I didn't worship him. I wasn't putting him before God, not in my own mind. But now that you're by yourself and you're looking for that friend, that that bride that you're supposed to be, that that father figure for you, to instill that those confidences in you, to be your best friend, to be submissive to, and understand that that's your authority. You're feeling lost out here because there was a person that was representing those things for you. Whether or not you agree, or whether or not you feel like that was him being an idol, is neither here nor there. What are you going to do about it is where we are now as widows. What are we going to do about it? And I feel like in my journey with all those fears, the journey was understanding where God is supposed to be in my life, so that when I find a next love, it won't be a man taking the place of all those things God was supposed to be for me. It'll be us joining in God. It'll be us joining under God, and it'll be me having all these things already for myself in God, and him having things already for himself in God. I don't know if he likes to be called a bride, but the bride of Jesus, we're supposed to be his bride. We're supposed to be submissive. We're supposed to be, that's our authority, if you're a Christian. That's all that bride means. It's just a term. It doesn't mean you got to wear a veil, and that's it's just a term of submission, a term of partnership, a term of this is what your job is. Your love is for him, right? So, and then that friend, having that in God, having that acceptance, that confidence that you are who you are on purpose. That that a lot of times that comes from our best friends, but that's who God is supposed to be for us. So, if you're a Christian and if you believe in God, I want you to think about your journey and the empty spaces that your husband, has left in your heart. And think about how you can, instead of now feeling afraid and alone, like you're never going to refill those spaces, being afraid of whether or not, anybody's ever going to come back into your life to fill those spaces, or being afraid you're just going to be alone and never fill those spaces. Instead of that, think about what it might take, and think about how you're going to make those connections, if you so choose to, with God. That's all the time I have today. I hope that was clear and gave you food for thought. Those are my 3 topics. I love you guys. I will see you next week. Oh, I wanted to say one thing. You guys are doing so awesome in that free course giveaway that I put out a couple of days ago. If you haven't seen it, go check out that link. I'm giving away absolutely free for the rest of this week only. It's cut off after this week, after Sunday, midnight. It is cut off. But because I'm a business person, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm gonna give away everything for free. I love y'all, but I'm making sure that I'm addressing those people that maybe they don't all have the same pockets. This was for you guys. This was the first pieces of the client and mentor connection that I do, where we do a discovery piece to finding yourself, finding the confidence to to be this new person and sit in these new spaces, and finding the resources to dream into this new space and actually go after your next you in real life. Okay, so check out that course. Check out those links below in the comments and the threads. It's there. If you're interested, you want to claim your free course, you comment below, find myself, and I will see you in the next episode next week. Okay, bye.